Good morning, everybody. Apologies that I'll be doing this speech in English. My French is very, very poor, not for lack of trying, just for lack of success. We drew this graphic there in the middle about the evolution of humans about 2.5 years ago for a supplier conference. We showed basically how we'd gone from hunting to shopping in a supermarket on a trolley. But 2.5 years ago, all of the growth in the UK supermarket industry was mobile. And it was all on tablets. The entire growth in our business was on tablets. But our business is a fast-moving business. And so we've had to update the graphic already in only 2 short years because we've entirely plateaued on our sales on tablets. In fact, it's shrinking. And ever since Apple increased the size of their phones with the iPhone 6 and 6 Plus, the entire growth of our industry has moved onto even smaller mobile devices. I think her shoes have changed into boots as well, but otherwise the move has been onto mobile. Who are we? We are a unique business model. We're the largest dedicated online grocer in the world. We run our business from 2 centralized fulfillment facilities and today have run rate sales of £1.3 billion in our retail business, £26 million a week. 250,000 orders a week delivered for our own retail business, and between 50 and 100,000 orders we're delivering for our platform customers. It's different in that it's highly automated, so highly centralized, highly automated, driven by an extremely large amount of technology. The result is a business that wins almost every customer award in our market. The result is a business that has grown to be over 20% of our supply partner Waitrose's sales. So when people think that online grocery might reach 5 or 10% of the market, for the grocer that we're working with, who has their own online business as well competing with us, we're now over 20% of their size. It all works because of the proprietary intellectual property. Because years ago, we discovered that we couldn't buy what we needed to make this business work, so we decided to develop it for ourselves. Today, we have over 800 software developers in our business, which will have grown to 1,000 by year end. We're developing software now in 4 countries. We've also recently furthered our vertical integration and become a manufacturer of our own automation and robotics after spending several years in a laboratory researching, prototyping, and developing. So now we have our own proprietary end-to-end solution, all the software, all the hardware to enable the best customer service and the best economics. Crucial in the grocery industry, where cost domination has always been a feature of the most successful players. We have our first platform customer in Morrisons. We launched their business for them 2 years ago, 7 months after they signed a contract with us. And it's continuing to grow very aggressively. So we have 2 businesses, but they're linked with a shared vision and a common platform. And I think it's worth me just reading to you the mission statement that we have. Ocado aims to continually develop innovative, proprietary technology and intellectual property to enable a unique, world-leading commercial and fulfillment platform for our own grocery and general merchandise retail businesses and those of our commercial partners. So both businesses basically feed on each other. Without the need for the platform, without the need for the technology in our retail business, we would never have developed it. But having developed it and spent the money on developing it, it's silly for us to only consider monetizing it in that little island just north of your country. We need to expand globally. In the UK, our business continues to outperform in what is unquestionably the most challenging grocery retail environment ever seen in the UK. In the last 5 years, we've doubled our sales from just over £500 million to over £1.1 billion last year, and a run rate today of £1.3 billion. The market is challenging, with our major competitors seeing negative sales growth, negative like-for-like growth, despite quite strong pricing pressure. but yet we and the limited assortment discounters continue to grow in the mid-teens. To be hitting high 13s or 14% type cash growth numbers, we're shipping 16 to 17% more orders than we were shipping last year. How do we do it? We do it by having the leading customer proposition. Now, I'm often asked, what is the thing? What is the single thing that Ocado does better than its customers that has enabled it to build the business that we have today? And by the way, today, we're bigger in the UK than Sainsbury's, a £25 billion retailer. We're bigger in the UK than Asda, a £25 billion retailer owned by a $450 billion retailer, Walmart, who are spending over $1 billion a year on R&D in this space and call Asda the jewel in their crown. Their jewel in their e-commerce crown. And we're bigger than them despite nobody ever having known who we were. And the answer, unfortunately, is not as easy as people would like. They would like to know that it's our 1-hour delivery slots that we offer to our customers from 6 o'clock in the morning till 11:30 at night, starting on the hour or the half hour. They'd like to know that it's because we put the goods into separate bags so the customers know what's for their freezer or their fridge. They'd like to know that it's our award-winning interfaces, or the fact that we launched the world's first physical store on a mobile in 2009, so you could buy your groceries from us before you could buy an Apple iPhone on an iPhone. But actually, it's everything. It's all of those things and more. It's every part of the process that touches the customer is better than any of our competitors. And it's better because we're able to train people and empower them to use a system and a process that's better than our competitors. Higher levels of availability on our site, larger ranges, twice the range of any supermarket in the UK. Slots starting earlier in the day, finishing later in the day, with higher levels of availability, but more likely to be on time. More likely to be on time because our routing is done by a live optimizer, so it's still by far the most efficient out there. But our live optimizer ensures that we only take orders that we know we can fulfill in that 1-hour slot. And we make 6 million optimization attempts on our schedule every second of the day. 6 million attempts every second, 24/7. Better prices is obviously is a given in the grocery market, and we guarantee that we match the market leader Tesco's on pricing and beat them, with other attractive things like the Smart Pass, which is like an Amazon Prime Pass, including discounts on about 1,000 products, permanent discounts, and as I say, coupons back if we're not cheaper on the order overall. So we do a better job for the customer. We don't just set out a better proposition to the customer, we execute better than our competitors. So a better proposition executed in a better way to give overall a better service. What that drives is better customer business, better customer transactions with us, more loyalty and more spend. The chart that you can see on the left-hand side there is our total revenue over the last about 7 or 8 years. And it's not a logarithmic scale or anything, that is our revenue growth. The different green color bands is our revenue split by cohort of the year of acquisition of the customer. So the customers in one of those bands were acquired in that year there, and that's their spend over the last 6 or 7 years. What does that tell you? Frankly, it tells you something interesting. If we stopped allowing customers to join us today, if we shut the registration process on our website down, in 10 years' time, we would still have run rate sales of 1.3 billion. If we turned our marketing off, we'd carry on growing because we acquire half our customers from word of mouth. We'd just grow at a smaller rate. So we could grow at 6 to 7%, spending no money on marketing, which would save us 2% of sales, and grow our business. Most e-commerce businesses aren't sticky enough. They're not doing a good enough job for their customers, where their competitors are constantly stealing their customers, and they have to constantly acquire new customers to maintain sales. But by doing an outstanding job for the customers that you've already acquired, you can create a very stable business just from those. Now, when we launched in the UK in 2002, working with Waitrose, which is at the premium end of the mass market, I guess the Monoprix equivalent in the UK, we were really selling to affluent customers. We weren't selling to the broad demographic. As we've extended our ranges from 8,000 or 9,000 at launch to 47,000 items available in our store today, as technology has democratized and everybody has an iPhone or an Android in their pocket today, our customer base is dramatically widening. Our customer base has widened now, as you can see on the right-hand side, so that lower income customers, joint household incomes under £60,000, today represent 72% of our customers. If we went back 10 years, not 5 years, and you can see the movement in 5 years, those two groups together were under 30%. So the group today represents 72% of our new customers, was only 30% of our new customers over 10 years ago. And what this means is that today we are absolutely attacking the mainstream market in the UK. This is not a proposition for the affluent. This is not a proposition just for intellectual professionals. This is a mainstream proposition that's going to continue to grow with significant channel shift, challenging largely the big box retail in the United Kingdom. How does it work? It's a challenging thing to make work because we, as the retailer, are now being asked to fulfill parts of the mission, as a business school would describe what we're doing, the mission of getting groceries from suppliers into customers' kitchens. We, as the retailer, are now being asked to pick them and deliver them that the customer used to do for free. So we have to do more work, in theory, than a bricks and mortar retailer operating as a store. But we need to do it for less cost than they can operate their store. We need to do that, otherwise we can't be cost effective. We can't offer customers the same prices or lower prices than the store, and we won't become a big player. So we need to do it differently. And that's what we do with our centralization and our automation. We cut out cost that a supermarket incurs. We cut out the cost of the regional distribution centers. We use automation to put our products away. We run the lowest waste in the global food industry. We use significantly cheaper property. We don't run any tills. And if we add up the savings from those items, we're saving between 15 and 20% of the costs that Tesco's incur putting product on their shelf. We save 3 bringing it in from suppliers directly because of the centralization and scale. We save about 5.5 putting it away using automation, so that's 8.5. We save 3 not running tills, so that's 11.5. We save about 2.5 on the waste, so that's 14. And we save about 5 on the property. So we're about 19 points ahead of them before we have to go and pick it and ship it. So if we can pick it and ship it for less than 19 points, which we do, actually we handle groceries into a customer's kitchen cheaper than Tesco's can put it on the shelf of a superstore. And we're doing that today with our existing old automation. We're doing that today while we're only doing 1.3 billion of sales in the UK, and they're doing 45 billion in their stores. As we grow, our costs come down and their costs go up. But cost is only one half of the equation because we need demand. And so our systems and our processes and our methodologies need to deliver a better service for the customer, which they do. They do that because we have the best interfaces. We have the highest number of slots, and they're all in the shortest time window, 1 hour. We have the highest order accuracy. We ship 99.3% of what is ordered exactly as ordered, another 0.6 of very close substitutions, and so the customer receives on average 99.9%. What that basically means is that you need to shop with us 7 times to get a substitution. At our competitors, you're likely to get 3 to 7 substitutions per order. You get 1 every 7 orders with us. It's a dramatically different experience. We have the freshest products because our 2 warehouses are the 2 largest supermarkets in the world. So our turnover of fresh is faster than anybody's. A tray of goods that might last for 3 days in a store will last for less than an hour in our warehouse. So you're not getting old stock. And we take that advantage and we show it to the customer online on the website. So we guarantee that something like a chicken breast that comes to us from the supplier with 7 selling opportunities, in store you need to look at that sell-by date. On our site, we guarantee that at least 5 of them are in your fridge at home. So you can shop with confidence, knowing that if you're shopping on Monday, that the product is fresh for your dinner on Friday. And we order the receipt by that, so you can put it on your fridge and manage your own food waste by knowing every day what in your fridge needs to be eaten, cooked, frozen, used, otherwise it will go to waste. So it works better for us and better for our customer. We continue driving efficiency. So we like to measure efficiency not in pick speed as many others do, because pick is only one of the activities in our warehouse, and it only represents about half of what we do. And that top slide showing that we, despite having operated our first facility for 13 years, we still improved our productivity by 7% last year, shipping 155 units, just over 3 orders per labor hour engaged in that warehouse. In the newer of our 2 warehouses, we've now hit 177 units of productivity. In the next warehouses that we'll build, we'll ship over 200 units per labor hour of activity. So over 4 orders per hour. We continue driving efficiency on our routing, both through the improvement to our algorithms and by increasing drop density. And last year, we averaged 166. And 2 weeks ago, we hit 190. So we're driving efficiency in our routing. And 190 was a new goal that we set ourselves for a whole year. Obviously, we won't do that this year. We're now hitting it in peak weeks. But as we're growing, we improve our network, which will lower our costs as well. So today, we operate from 2 warehouses, number 1 and number 2, north of London and in the Midlands. But we're shortly opening up number 3 in the next few weeks and months. And then at the end of 2017, we're opening up the biggest grocery store in the world, number 4. That store will ship over £1.25 billion of groceries a year. And by doing that, each of our production sites is getting closer to our customer, which further cannibalizes our costs and improves our efficiencies, which we can throw back into our customer proposition and accelerate our growth. We operate the lowest waste, and it improved again last year. So what does it mean? It means that even in an extraordinary climate where the profitability of our major competitors in the UK has been decimated, I believe that Tesco's UK EBITDA has gone from 8% of sales to under 2%. In the same time, we've improved our retail operating contribution by 140 basis points. We've had 170 basis points of hit in gross margin, down from 30.9% to 29.2%. But our operating efficiencies and increasing supplier income from working with us using the functionality on our websites and our mobile interfaces has meant that we can improve our contribution in that environment. That looks good, but actually behind that is an even better story. Behind that, we've seen deflation. Deflation versus cost inflation of, I believe, over 10% in that period. And in an industry used to making 30 points of gross margin, if the average price of your goods goes down 10% relative to the price of your inputs, you've lost another 300 basis points of margin. So behind that is an additional 300 basis points. So we've seen 140 basis points of improvement, but actually we've seen a negative impact from the market of over 450. So we've really taken out 500 basis points of operating improvement in the last 5 years. Driving efficiency is critical to success in the grocery market. There's 4 main things I think I would say to learn. One is a compelling proposition is absolutely key. If you just do it okay, you'll have an okay business. We are the second largest player in our market. We're only behind a player supported by £45 billion of sales. They're the only person who's managed to build a bigger business than us. We're bigger than two £25 billion players. And it's because we do the best job for our customers. And never underestimate how important it is to continually improve and be the best at everything that you do for your customers. I know that you had a speaker here, I think yesterday, from Google, which is one of the most impressive businesses in the world. And I've spent some time with them in California, as many of you may have done, and they talk often about prototyping, testing something to see whether it has market demand, whether it looks like it works before you do it. It doesn't always give the right answers. My supply partner, Waitrose, has been running a business that they've invested several £100 million in over the last 15 years. To me, it's a prototype, an expensive prototype of our business. It's based on best-of-breed software packages and store picking. And I could have used it to decide whether we should launch our business. In 16 years, they've built up to do £200 million of sales. Our first warehouse has capacity to do 800. I launched it in 2002. Today, in 2016, if I was looking at their business that doesn't have as compelling a customer proposition, I would look at the £200 million of sales run rate that they've got to in 16 years, and I would discount building my first warehouse. I wouldn't launch. But today, I'm building I'm building 2 more warehouses to take me to 4, to give me £3 billion of run rate capacity, because we built a better mousetrap. And with a better mousetrap, we create more demand. There's some very interesting data, public data online that you can reach from Tesco's, the biggest player in our market, and obviously a very big store player that needs to protect its stores. And it shows that online is not only accretive to you as a business, it's actually accretive to your stores as well. Every time a Tesco's customer goes online and they gain online sales, that customer spends more money in store than they did before. If the customer then goes on to buy general merchandise online as well, they both buy more groceries online and more groceries in store. In fact, their statistics show that by taking the customer online both in grocery and general merchandise, in total the revenue at Tesco's goes up by 190%, with the store-based revenue itself going up. So don't think of online as cannibalizing your stores and a challenge. Think of online as supporting your brand with your customers, with new customers who will go and shop with you. If you look in the UK over the last 6 to 7 years, out of the full assortment grocers, there's been one standout performer, and it's Waitrose, our partner. They have outperformed every year in like-for-like sales. And one of the reasons, they obviously do a fantastic job, I'm very proud of them, but one of the reasons that they outperform is that we acquire their competitors' customers online. And those competitors' customers have grown familiar with their product range and have chosen, therefore, to move to them for top-up shopping. So think of online and think what you need to do is you need to go early, you need to go big, and the only way you can do that is by doing an outstanding job for your customers. But you need to consider your assets and your costs, because without the right assets, you can't do the right job. And that silly graphic at the bottom says, if I decided I'd had enough today and I wanted to become a farmer instead, move to a different part of the value chain, I can't take the car that drives me to work in the morning, stick an agricultural device on the back, and plough the fields with it. Because it might have been the right asset to drive to work in, but it's not the right assets to plough a field. And your stores are not the right assets to run online grocery from, because you don't know what stock's going to be in them when you go to pick it for customers, because you get in the way of customers, because you deliberately laid it out to drive customers past products that you want them to buy on impulse, when with your pickers you need to drive efficient picking, because you can't put automation in there to aid your put away. You can't aggregate all your stock into one location to sell the widest ranges to customers. So for a whole range of reasons, stores are not the way to go, despite people thinking that they own them and they can make them work. Today, the other strand of our business is helping global grocers to achieve what we've achieved in the online marketplace, but far cheaper, far quicker, and with far less risk. And it's called the Ocado Smart Platform. And the Ocado Smart Platform is our way of taking everything that we've developed, everything that we own, and powering other people. There's two halves to the proposition. One half is the software and the optimization. So it's an end-to-end cloud-hosted software package. Everything from the mobile apps, mobile websites, search, personalization, recommendations, supply chain software, routing software, in-van software, customer interaction software, CRM, call center software, order management software, everything basically that runs every part of the operation in the cloud as a platform, in a similar way to the service that our sponsor for last night's dinner, Salesforce. So similar to a Salesforce.com, everything that you need as a grocery business to go online. But of course, the critical part, as I said before, isn't just the software. It's the automation, it's the facility, and it's how well that works. And so it includes the physical infrastructure installed in the customer's warehouse, installed and live and operating, serviced and maintained by us. But it's no normal physical infrastructure solution. It's a brand new proprietary solution that's about to go live for the first time in our new warehouse just southwest of London. It allows a number of improvements over the best in class, which is our existing facilities. It allows more range in the same space. It ships more volume from the same space. It is lower cost in capital than the old facilities, and it operates using less labor and therefore less operating costs than the existing facilities. It changes some other customer dynamics too. We can now pack any order in any sequence, in any bag, in any box. We already have algorithms to improve the packing quality of our orders to our customers, but they're constrained by the layouts of our warehouses. They calculate it's theoretically possible to calculate a number with 126 zeros after it of different ways to pack a single grocery order. In our new warehouse, we can work out which one is the optimum for the customer. But it also reduces the time it takes to put together an order. In our existing warehouses, it takes between 2 and 4 hours from the data arriving at the warehouse for the order to be shipped. In our next warehouse, we're bringing down that 2 to 4 hours to 5 minutes. We'll pick the order in under 2 minutes, irrespective of its size, and ship it in the following 3, which will enable more same-day shopping, more immediacy shopping, later opening hours for our customers. The solution is based on small robots, as you can see in that graphic, sitting on a hive of totes. But that's just a tiny graphic. There's 10 robots on that graphic. The smaller of the 2 warehouses we're building will have 1,100 robots in it. The larger one between 3,000 and 4,000. And to achieve that, we've had to develop the equipment ourselves. We've had to develop subcomponents of the equipment ourselves, including a comms solution that now enables us to build the most dense wireless networks in the world, all built to deliver groceries to customers. If you have to build it yourself, we do it. But it fits into standard buildings, enabling us to retrofit it into existing customers' buildings. It's fast to deploy. It's incredibly efficient and accurate. And we can build it in different sizes. So we don't need to build them quite as big as we have before. And our next warehouse is between 350 and 400 million of run rate sales. And the whole package is based on a fee-based, as you use it, you pay for it, not a massive upfront capital investment as traditional material handling solutions are. And we keep all the risk. We never sell anyone a robot, a pick station, and some racking. We sell them the capacity to pick. And if we don't deliver it, we don't get paid. End of story. Our risk, not the retailers. So as I said before, low risk, fast to market, limited capital commitment, scales as the business grows, but offers the 2 critical things, the combination of best-in-class economics and a superior customer proposition. Also future-proofed, so that as our robotic labs that are also working on other robotic projects such as robotic picking actually come up with new equipment, and we aim to have a robotic cell live in the next 18 months in our warehouse, we'll be able to carry on driving the efficiency of those plants up, including the ones that we're rolling out now, until we're doing 10 to 12 orders an hour, not 4. The solution uses less of the inputs that every grocery retail business in the world uses: people, waste, property assets, and energy. Every grocery solution uses a combination of them, and the Ocado Smart Platform uses less people, generates less waste, uses less property, and uses less energy than any other retail solution we've seen in the world. So the aim is to combine the Smart Platform with the international partners' existing local retailing skills, local attributes, buying power, brand, and customers, for them to build, supported by us, sustainable, scalable, and profitable businesses. Critically, it's not a Trojan horse. It's not an Amazon marketplace. It's the retailer's business. It's the retailer's proposition. It's the retailer's customer. It's the retailer's data. It's the retailer's choice to leave us and take their customer and their data with them and approach it any other way that they want. The life cycle of an order through it, just to illustrate, is it's the retailer's customer, it's the retailer's suppliers, and the retailer's warehouse. The retailer's network for delivery, which can include post and couriers, can include pickup points, manned and unmanned, all supported by the software, or the full van solutions, and in the future, any other type of automated solutions that might arise. The retailer's drivers and staff, and obviously the retailer's satisfied customer who comes back to more. But all of that is powered by our software. Powered by our software that's hosted and maintained by us and constantly upgraded by approaching, by the end of this year, 1,000 software developers. So for retailers to try and match that, it's incredibly hard, given the competency of them, the scale, and the cost of doing it. Today, we have our first customer on board for 2 years, Morrisons. Signed the contract 2013, launched January 14, on time, on budget. First year exit sales, according to Morrisons, I'm not allowed to tell you what their sales are, but they announced £200 million run rate first year. We gave them half of an existing facility we'd just built. The existing facility was designed to do 180,000 orders for us in a week. They have half the capacity today for their business. We have half the capacity for our business. Whilst I can't tell you what their sales are, I can tell you what our production is. And in the last 3 weeks, we exceeded 180,000 orders in there. 180,000 orders in that building, if it was all for us, would translate to £500 million of sales. Sorry, £500 million of sales for us. So £1 billion of sales in total for that building. I don't know what their average item price is compared to mine. I'm assuming it's a little bit lower. But it still means that they've doubled their business again in their second year, and they're using all of the facilities that they bought from us. They've ramped from 0 to full in 2 years. It's very, very interesting because Morrisons themselves are only 2/3 of the size in the UK as Sainsbury's and Asda. And we're only at the moment covering half the UK for them from this facility. So if you take those two facts into account, it means that in 2 short years, they've put the same percentage of their sales online in the areas that they serve online as Tesco's, Sainsbury's, and Asda have achieved in the last 16 years. It's taken them 2 to achieve what the others did in 16, because they've married their brand, their customers, their buying power, and their knowledge with the greatest platform available. And the superior customer proposition has enabled them to catch up in only 2 years. So what do we see happening in the next 10 years and beyond? The channel shift online is going to continue to go faster and faster, I believe, particularly when we reach a tipping point on user interfaces. User interfaces is an area we're spending a lot of time. We do a lot of work with behavioral scientists to understand how they influence people's behavior. Why are we doing this? Because I don't believe the tipping point's been reached in grocery in a way it has in other sectors. And the reason for that is that your grocery customers are buying 50 items at a time and not 1 to 2. So the quality of the interface needs to be much easier than it does if you're running a business like Amazon. And as we move towards achieving that, through better user interfaces, driven not just by better code from ourselves, but improvements in devices from the likes of Samsung and Apple and Google, better broadband speeds, but also by better big data, as we continue to work out what products customers want to buy at what point in time, when and where, and are able to show them that, able to sift through the 47,000 lines that we offer to them, and show them the exact products they want at the time that they want in a format that's restful on their eyes, we believe it will reach a tipping point which will accelerate growth. Early movers is great because they can drive absolute sales, but only if they offer compelling propositions for customers. Because as I said before, in 2 years, Morrison's has caught up Sainsbury's and Asda's 16-year effort. But those who win can drive absolute sales for their business. It's not cannibalizing your own stores. Focus on cannibalizing your customers' stores. The industry challenges aren't going away. Store pick, dark store, and third-party picking solutions are not viable long-term solutions. They're additional costs in an industry where the customer never wants to pay additional fees. There are threats on the horizon. Amazon is expanding in grocery in the UK. They're going to expand more aggressively, and they're going to move into every one of their retail markets. And that clearly includes France. Don't believe they're not coming, because they are. Walmart is investing heavily as well. Over $1 billion a year they're writing off in R&D for online. That is an exceptional amount of research. And so they also want to dominate the global retail industry. So far, unsuccessful versus Amazon, but they're playing a big game, and it's expensive to catch up. You need technology to make it work. You need to do a lot of R&D, but it's very costly, and it requires a significant ongoing investment. And that's where we think we can help people, because we offer the services through the Smart Platform that today offers the best-in-class service for customers, the best-in-class economics. We've been doing this for 16 years. So it's not that we're cleverer than anybody else, and it's not that we can outspend anybody else, but we can spend a heavy amount of money and continue to develop on an extraordinary amount of knowledge acquired over a long period of time, because we've been trying to do this in grocery for 12 years longer than Amazon were trying to do it, for 15 years longer than Walmart were trying to do it. And operating on live patients teaches you a lot of stuff. And we've shipped billions of pounds of groceries this way, and we're going to continue to maintain the lead that we have on them, and continue to expand the platform and help global retailers to compete with the giants of the global industry. So I'll take, hopefully, some questions. Thank you. Go ahead. I can hear. It's going.
So, hello, I'm Geneviève Petit from Petit Web. Where do you come from?
Me?
Yes.
I come from London. I was born in London. I've only ever had 2 jobs. My first job was at Goldman Sachs. I joined them out of university as a bond trader. I spent 8 years trading bonds between London, Hong Kong, and latterly New York. And I left that career in 2000 and set up this business in an office about the size of these 3 sofas with 2 friends, and told people we were going to launch a grocery business in competition with Tesco's and Sainsbury's, and they told us that we were mad. We did that. We hired some industry experts out of the 2 heads of Marks & Spencer's food business, a director from one of the large logistics companies in the UK, and a director out of Capgemini. Slowly removed them all from the business as the pace of change wasn't sufficient, and learnt some things about retailing, logistics, and technology, and just have kept going since from there. So I have no background in logistics, no background in technology, no background in food retailing. But you invited me anyway, it's more fool you. There's a question over here.
Thank you. Thank you for your nice presentation. I'm coming from Belgium. I just wanted to know what about your international strategy, because most of your presentation was focusing on UK. So I was just wondering if your smart platform was also available for international retailers.
Thank you. No, that is what our smart platform is. So we're obviously a customer of it ourselves. We use it in our own business. But what we have decided, having run our business for 16 years, having worked with Waitrose as a supply partner over that time, having enabled Morrisons, that enabling other people's businesses, enabling people who have brands, buying power, scale, products, and local knowledge, if you can combine all those strengths with the power of our platform, you create a really amazing business. And that's what we've done for Morrisons. It's what's enabled Morrisons to grow so quickly. Whereas if we came to Belgium or we came to France and opened Ocado.com, no one knows who we are. We have no buying power. So we have one arm tied behind our back. And it's great we've got a good platform, but it's a hard fight with only one hand. I've been doing it in the UK for 16 years. If I'd launched in the UK as Sainsbury's.com with our platform, we'd be twice the size of Tesco's today. So we think the best thing for us to do is to take our technology, put it into the platform, and enable local market leaders, whether they be in Belgium, in France, in the United States, or wherever. And we've had approaches from literally every continent and numerous countries, and we're in a lot of conversations. I haven't yet signed a deal outside of the UK, and I got a bit of flack for saying that I would sign it by the end of last year and not having done so. But you have to be thick-skinned in my job and just keep going. We're in a lot of conversations. We expect to launch this in multiple territories.
Can you tell us a little more about the company culture? How did you create such a customer-centric company?
Look, I think we have a huge advantage in that it's a service that we want to use ourselves. And I think frankly, we all have that advantage in this industry because, if you build a business in waste management, or if you run Ryanair but you're very rich, you don't want to fly on Ryanair, you want to fly on NetJets, right? So it's great that I am a customer of my retail business, and my retail business is a customer of my technology business. So I think it helps to be a customer. I think that an organization is led from the front, and so frankly, if I care about the customer orders, then generally the organization learns to care about the customer orders if anybody didn't already. And we've always had a philosophy that our orders going out today is the most important thing in our business. And during our history, as we've been developing, we didn't have the resiliency and reliability of our systems that we have today. So we would have interruptions in our warehouse that were going to affect today's orders, and we were going to run out of labor. And so we would go and pick in the warehouse. And there's no more effective way of getting your office to drop their job and go and pick in the warehouse than when the CEO stands on his desk and shouts, "I'm going to the warehouse, who's coming with me?" Because you'll find a lot of them leave and go with you. Whereas if you just sit there, ignoring everyone, having your lunch and ask other people to go, then they'll find another reason not to go as well. So we've always cared passionately and about our customers and exhibited that in fantastic ways. And we've got a reputation for doing extraordinary things in the UK. We've delivered a baby before and other things. And so we get approached by a lot of other businesses outside of our industry trying to understand how we do that. Now, part of what we do is we hire people we believe are likely to care about their customers. We train them to do their job. But most importantly, we enable them to do their job because the platform, the technology, enables them to do it well. Now, if you are a delivery driver going out on a route, and it is possible to get to all of your customers on time, and all of their orders are complete, you go out with a more positive attitude than if you know that every customer's got substitutions they don't want, and your schedule's unlikely to be workable, right? So you go out there more positive, number one. Number two, because we have the technology and we can analyze everything everybody's doing on a statistical basis, we've enabled our drivers to deal with any customer issues if they do occur. They occur rarely, but our drivers can deal with them, and we're the only person in the market that does that. So our driver needs no authority to give a customer the order for free, just their own decision. We monitor and analyze who's doing it so we can discuss with people if they did it too often or if they did it for reasons we don't agree with. But they don't have to fill in a form, give one here, one there, one the other, and a week later the customer gets an answer. They can make that decision on their own on the doorstep, which not only means the customer gets a better experience because they can get dealt with immediately, but it also means that the driver feels like an important person, not someone who's incapable of deciding to give a product away for free without filling in a form in triplicate that has to get sent to somebody else to decide, because all the driver's capable of doing in our eyes is driving a van and lifting heavy bags. And so that's part of, the kind of the culture of the business. So we trust people, but we monitor people, and we don't overpromise what we can deliver to our customers. We promise a lot and deliver a lot. And I think it all feeds through. On the development side, it took a long time, and for the last 13 years, I've never left my house without a stopwatch on my wrist, because I had to learn how that equipment worked. And then people that thought they'd been in the industry for 20 years understanding how equipment worked realized that they didn't know how it worked when I kept challenging them that it wasn't doing what it was supposed to be doing, and why wasn't it doing what it was supposed to be doing, and shouldn't we make this change? And they decided some people thrive on it, and they've stayed and they've grown and they've become fantastic and they now teach me things. And other people found this environment too difficult and they move on somewhere else. But as a result, we become incredibly innovative. And we have a philosophy that I guess originates from my bond trading days. And as a bond trader, every day you can change your positions. So every day you have to rethink why you own them. What is there new information that tells me that what I did yesterday, I should change? And you constantly want to do more. And so that's where we are. We don't, just because we bought something yesterday doesn't mean we need to live with it today. If we realize today that was a bad decision, we don't hang about and say, well, we can't admit it. We can't face it because we can't admit it, because if we admit it, we're guilty of something. We admit it, we face it, we kill it, we move on. And we have a view of constant improvement. So, you buy a project that's designed, as I said before, we built a warehouse designed to do 180,000 orders a week. We hit it 3 weeks ago. My team, by the next day, were not focused on congratulating themselves for hitting that target. They've set themselves a new target. They said, I know I bought it to do 180, but now I believe I can do 200. So now I need my plan to get to 200. It's always about not self-congratulatory, but how can we do more tomorrow? And it filters through the whole organization, but it has to start at the top.
Thank you for a great keynote speech. When we go back to your first slide, which had the evolution of the shopper, what is interesting is that you showed the tablet and the smartphone, yet you were founded in 2000, 11 years before the tablet and 7 years before the smartphone. Yet in 2000 as well, there was Webvan. So how were you able to succeed so well when Webvan failed so publicly? And also, again, 7 or 11 years before, the tools that do 100% of your traffic today were not even invented.
It's a fair criticism. We could have put a third person on there before the tablet with a computer. And obviously, as you rightly point out, up until 2009, all our sales were on a computer. Between 2009 and today, our sales on a browser are probably up about 20 to 25%. And all of the rest of our growth has been on mobile devices, tablets, and mobiles. I think really when we did it, we were just illustrating quite how far the people have come to. And the reason we changed it this year for our conference, that was only about 10 days ago, was simply because it's amazing how tablets stopped mobile growth. We launched, as I said before, the first mobile app of a physical retailer anywhere in the world. And over 50% of the ads in our business, over 50% of the individual items sold in our business today are sold from a mobile device. Not touched by mobile, sold on a mobile device. But 100% of the growth is phones today, not not tablets. Webvan, I was fortunate to visit Webvan twice. Once before it went bankrupt and was still selling its story, and once after it went bankrupt. And although it's become the kind of common myth that Webvan proved it can't be done, Webvan was just an exceptionally poor execution of what might have had, good potential. And in fact, when I look at the California market today, the economics, the differences in the market there, I should make it an incredibly attractive place to run a business like ours. But Webvan was just prolific in spending money that was just off the charts. I mean, to give you an idea, Webvan had reached $9 million of historic sales at the time of its IPO, but had spent, I believe, from memory, about $7 or $10 million on building a call center to handle its call volumes in Las Vegas. Our life-to-date sales, I don't know what they are at the moment, but they're north of £6 billion. And I don't think we've spent £1 million yet on our call center. And so it just gives you some idea, grocery retail is a cost domination business. The successful players, of which I can see several in this room, are businesses that have cost dominated aggressively over the years to maintain their pricing and therefore their market share. And they came in with a view that they were, they ran themselves like a consultancy business, where it was a talent management business where you have to spend outrageous amounts on offices and furniture and computers and call centers and stuff. And they just literally blew themselves up. They built one warehouse that didn't work and built 13 replicas of it. And what's the point of having 12 replicas of a warehouse that doesn't work? Honestly, it was crazy. So, it isn't that we did something dramatically different, although I must say the biggest warehouse, their aim for those warehouses was to take them to $300 million of run rate sales. I'm running one today at 1.4 billion, right? So we've built something at another magnitude of sales, but the idea was good. It was very poorly executed. Yeah.
Hello, thank you. What do you think about the AI-driven personal assistant like Viv? And do you think it will be the next interface for buying groceries maybe in 10 years?
Look, I think we're going to see a lot of potential new interfaces for groceries. I think that ultimately the device needs to have an intelligent conversation with the customer as opposed to being a catalog that the customer can shift through. We've moved from a static catalog to a dynamic catalog to an intelligent catalog today, but we're still largely in some form of catalog. I think that we will interact, and I sometimes use the example of saying what a lot of technology does is it enables normal people to do things the way that multi-billionaires have been able to do them for years. So, today you can map your journey instantly, on a Google Maps, but your PA could do that using photocopies of the maps before and draw to you where you needed to go to. If you wanted to have if you're a music fan, you could have a room with 1 million CDs in it before, but today you can just have Spotify that does it for you. And so the question is, if you had unlimited money, how would you grocery shop? Do you think that a billionaire writes to their chef, their butler, and their housekeeper when they're visiting their home on Cap Ferrat and says, please buy 6 cans of Coca-Cola Red 330 mils. Please buy half a kilo of this particular brand of unsalted butter? Of course they don't. They'll have an interaction about how many people are coming, who's coming, and the staff should know their preferences, and how often they're going to eat in the house, and how much of that data is sitting already somewhere in the cloud, and how does that data feed into an interface of the future to predict your shopping, to know that you're going away halfway through the week to give you a smaller order, to know what's seasonal, to suggest the seasonal products that you prefer but you don't always know it's the right time to be buying them, to know what's on promotion to manage your budgets, to know that your friend's coming over who's got a dietary constraint to tailor the meal around that, to know that you're not a massive fish fan, so you only normally have fish once a week, and tomorrow you're going to a fish restaurant, so don't put any fish in your order. To know that where you're going on your holiday is up to the mountains, so you need those little sun creams with a lip thing on the front. A lot of this data is already sitting there, and we need to get to the point in the future where we can see it for the customer and do their order for them. It's like their mother if their mother was the manager of the local Carrefour, and she did the shopping for them, we ought to be able to do that. But she spends all day trying to work out how to optimize it for them. We ought to be able to do that in 10 milliseconds. And that, I think, is actually the direction. So yes, it is some form of intelligent interface. But I don't think it will be with a picture of a person sitting talking to me. I think it will be my device saying, this is what you need, and this is why. If you want to change any of these choices, interact. It is fastest to see data. In terms of consumption of data, it's fastest actually to talk to a device to input data. So I think we'll move to the point where we see what it's suggesting, we talk or gesture to it, because that's much faster than inputting. And that's the direction that we're, I think, currently focused on. Any more? Nope. Thank you very much for coming this morning.